do you make a diagonal vine pattern? Well, it starts with a pattern tile and a bunch of free brushes, a free palette, and tip sheets for drawing vines and roses. And it includes the steps in this tutorial. 3 things before we start. We're going to be using a 12-inch by 12-inch canvas at 300 dpi, which translates out to 3600 pixels by 3600 pixels. Next, I would love to see your patterns, and if you'd like to share them, please do so on Instagram at #digywithliz. Next, you can check your patterns to make sure that they're seamless at my site, and here's the link. It's bit.ly/checktile. For our tile project, we'll need a few things, including the most recent version of Procreate. And also, there's a freebie to download from my site called Flower Power, and it includes brushes and a palette and some reference materials. It's at bit.ly/from-Liz. And also you'll need a stylus so you can take full advantage of the brushes that come with this set. All right, let's get to it. We're starting out with a 12-inch by 12-inch canvas at 300 dpi, which translates out to 3600 pixels by 3600 pixels. And we're going to go ahead and add a grid to this. So we're going to go ahead and tap our wrench, select Canvas, Drawing Guide, and then we're going to edit our drawing guide. And I want to break this into basically quadrants, but then have 3 squares across and down for each quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and select a grid size of 600 pixels. There we go. And then actually I'm going to turn up the opacity, and I don't want it too thick. Let's see, how thin can we get it up? Just something like that, just so we can see it, but I want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the view of what the seamless pattern is turning into. Okay, when we're satisfied with that, we can tap done. Now, one thing before we tap done, if you're having a more complex pattern that you're drawing, you might want a tighter grid, and so you might try 300 or 150 pixels to make that grid tighter. But 600 will be just fine for this tutorial. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select sort of a nice light blue color. Let's see here. Something pretty light. Well, that looks more purple, but there you go. Okay, that's still probably a little dark. Maybe something like that. Just something really light that we can see our greens and our pinks and things like that over when we're drawing our pattern. And then we'll just go ahead and dump that into, wow, that's pretty dark. Let's go ahead and select our adjustments wand here, select hue, saturation, and brightness, and let's just take the brightness up just a little bit so it's a little bit brighter, and that way we can see what we're doing. All right, now we're gonna select our Move and Transform tool, and I have snapping with a distance of 3, and the distance is just the default. I don't mind having it at 3, so I just leave it. And I'm gonna use Uniform, and I'm going to go ahead and scale this down so that it fits into one quadrant of my square here, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this layer by gently sliding it over and tapping duplicate. And then I'm going to use my Move and Transform tool again, and I'm just bringing, here, let me shrink this down so you can see. I'm just bringing this down here to the bottom corner here, and I'm looking for the golden lines, and then I know it's in the perfect spot here. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and merge this layer down. Now, I'm using this as a template because in this particular offset pattern, anything that's in this blue square will be in this blue square, and anything in this white square will be in this white square. And as we get it a little bit more complicated in terms of what we're drawing, it's going to be helpful to be able to see what's going on. So that's why I'm using this as a guide. Now, we don't want our artwork to wind up on top of that, so let's go ahead and create a new layer on top here. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my brushes. I'm going to the Procreate calligraphy set, and I'm going to select the monoline tool, and I'm going to bring that all the way up to 100%. And then I'm going to be using the Flower Power palette, and later on we'll be using one of the Flower Power brushes for creating blooms. And you can get this on my site, as I mentioned before. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and choose this nice light green color there. And like I said, we're using the monoliner. Okay, we're ready to start drawing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use quick shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw like a little arc right here. So I think probably starting right around here, and I just kind of want my arc to kind of go like that. I'm just going to hold it, and then I'm going to tap edit so that I can see my little edit dots here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this all the way over so it's just about touching the edge without cutting it off. I don't really want to cut off the shape there, so that's pretty good. And then I'm just thinking, I want this to kind of come up this way, and this is going to be right in here, and maybe even come over to this edge, and this will be that same edge. And so if I'm thinking about that, like how this will come down, it'll be something like this, and this might be too severe. Like I might want this to kind of, we might want to bring this down a little bit and actually over like that, so that now when I'm bringing this down through this part right here, it'll come down like that. So that seems more like a better curve for how the things will work up in this area. So let's go ahead and bring that so that it's just that edge right there. And I'm probably going to turn this into a leaf. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that seems like a good plan at the moment. Here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can really see what I'm doing there. Whoa, I don't want to cut it off. There, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm just going to tap out into the workspace, and then I'm going to reduce the size of this again. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and create another curve and bring it just along this edge right here. So I'm just going to go like this. And I'm just going to hold it. Actually, I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. So I do invoke the curves. Okay. All right. There we go. It's probably very, very close to a straight line, and that is fine. But now, what I'm looking to do here is I'm trying to make sure that this edge is right over my line so that it basically blends right and isn't going to be too obvious that there's a blending mark right there. And then the other thing I want to look at is I want to get this right in position. So here, make this even bigger so that it's right on that corner. And I'm using the monoliner specifically because the width is consistent as we use it. And so that's really great for this, what I'm doing here. So, and that way I can bring it down on the other part here and make sure that it's matched in this way. So this is going to work out just fine. And let's see, do I care that this is, there's a little nub right there. I can put a little leaf there. So we can, we can kind of hide any sort of irregularities if we want to. I'm not really going for perfection. I'm really going more for impression here. So this looks pretty good. So I'm going to tap onto the workspace and then bring this size down again so we see what we got going on. So this is kind of fun. And now this is going to be repeated up here. So let's go ahead and create a duplicate just so we can see what's going on. And when we actually, let's see, let's go ahead and cut instead of making a duplicate. We're going to just cut and paste this section of this. So we're going to go over to our selection tool. We want to make sure that color fill is off. I am going to go ahead and use rectangle, and I'm going to start just outside of my canvas here and go like this. And the thing that I really care about is getting along this line right here. So making sure that that's perfect and that the shape is inside of it, just like that. Perfect. So now I can take my 3 fingers, drag them down to get the copy and paste menu, and I'm going to say duplicate. Okay. Then this is already selected with our move and transform tool, so we just can move this right on up here, and this is where this piece goes. Okay, and I'm looking for the golden lines. So I've got them on the side there and on the bottom there. Perfect. Okay, so that is how this is going to come through. So now we're going to go back to our original layer right there, layer 2 actually. And now we're just working in this space really. This is just to remind us where we're coming in here when we're repeating. So now we can think of like a lot of different ways to do that. Like I'm thinking we could, just for example, we could draw something that goes like that, where this is like a Y off of it or something like that. We could actually just bring this down. There's lots of different options, and actually, draw whatever you like. This is, based on your preferences. I think what I'm going to do, I actually like that curl idea, and I kind of like the idea of maybe coming back up like this. So this is what we're going to do. This is kind of cheater's way here. We're going to make a curve that comes like this. Actually, we're going to come right in here. Okay. Just like that. And so now we're going to cut this shape and bring it down here now that we know how we want this to go. I like that because I'm thinking, I could have oh, actually, you know what? Let's make that even taller. Here, put the flower right in there. Let's do that. Okay. So this is kind of like just playing along as you go. like that is our curve. Okay, we've got right on that edge there, which is perfect. Now let's go ahead and edit this. So again, I just kind of want to make sure that it's right on that edge there where this takes off. So that is great. Now that might be just a little too far in, so let's bring this, actually that's fine. We're going to leave that and then we can just erase that a little bit. Okay, and I want to make sure that this is lined up in there nicely so we don't have too much of a bump. Okay, and we've just kind of played with that and we've got it right there on that corner there. So that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to tap onto the workspace and now I'm going to go ahead and select the same eraser just by pressing and holding it, and just to make sure that it did it, it did. Now I'm going to go ahead and just erase down here because I'm thinking I'm going to want my bloom to be right there. All right, so now I need to make sure that it happens down here. So now what I'm going to do, let's see, do I want to merge these two? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this, duplicate it, all right, and then I can merge this down. So now with this top one, I'm going to go ahead and move it. So we're going to use our move and transform tool, and we're going to take this top layer here, and we're bringing this down to right where it's over the top of the other one, so we can really see that it's lined up properly the way we want it. And I'm looking for the golden line so that I know it's right on the edge there, and this really helps me see like it's working itself just where it needs to be. And this is perfect too, so now it'll work out just fine. Okay, so now I need to get rid of this part right in here. So we're going to go back. Let's go ahead and merge these two layers together, merge down, and then we're going to go back to our selection tool here. And again, starting outside of our canvas, we are now really focused. Here, let's make this bigger. Oh, actually, let's clear that. Let's make this really big so we can see what's going on here. Okay, starting outside of our canvas, we're going to match up to that center line there. We don't want to cut too little, so I'm just going to be, I'd rather err on the side of giving up myself too much, so a pixel more in that direction rather than down in the blue. Trying to be right on the line. Okay, perfect. And now I can use my 3 fingers to get the paste, copy and paste menu, and then I'm just going to go ahead and cut. All right, and just to make sure that, like, I can see a little bit of green, but just to be sure that it's in the right spot, I'm going to go ahead and take off the drawing guide. Awesome. Okay, good. And I can see that it's right on that edge of the blue, so I'm good here. That's great. Okay, now let's go ahead and bring this down in size again. All right, so now we have a really good start. We've got our top and our bottom aligned. We also have something happening over here, and now we need to have something happening over here so that actually all 4 sides are being touched by our shape, because that makes it really easy then later on to position things. So let's go ahead and think about what we want to do there. So if we're having a bloom here, what we might want to do is have like a little leaf coming off right here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to make another, whoops, still using my eraser. Let's go back to the brush here. Just make sure I'm on the right, yep, okay. All right, I'm going to start in here and kind of actually bring it over here. Oops, yeah, try that again. An arc to right there. Awesome, and then let's go ahead and edit it. Now, I just want it to be right on the edge there. That looks pretty good, and I want this to be right inside there so that it looks nice and lined up. I don't want it to make it thicker down here because, of course, then it wouldn't match up later on when we're matching up this line to that line. Okay, that looks actually really pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and tap out, and now I'm going to make the leaf just by doing another arc here. So something like that, and hold. Okay, that turned into a straight line. I didn't want it like that. So I need to be a little bit more obvious about my arc here. Okay, now let's edit it. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, that looks, well, let's see. It's going to be cut off at the bottom. I don't want that. So something like that. This has got a little gentle shape. It looks like it's an open leaf. That's perfect. So now let's go ahead and just drop our green right into it. Awesome. Okay, so now we've got all of our sides here, but now we need to make things a little bit more interesting. So we're going to have a bloom here, but I kind of want to have like some more maybe leaves or something like that right in here. And maybe I even want a curl. Now, I don't really have to worry so much about where I'm going over on all of this because this is going to be consistent. So, and we can take care of how we lay it down later. So we can just draw to our heart's content, staying inside below this half line basically. Okay, so I think I want to have a little curl right here. One of our blooms right. Well, that's going to take away from the, let's go ahead and have our curl over here, kind of over the center. Ooh, that's going to look nice. I like that. So a big bloom right here. I'm thinking I might want to have another, like maybe this one could be like a little small bloom right down here. And I'm thinking another kind of bigger one, like I like to kind of have threes, have things in threes. So, or I could have one right here. That's an interesting idea. Not sure yet. Since we're going to have a big one here, we're going to have a big one there. All right, let's go ahead and have it come down here. Okay, something like that. And let's go ahead and edit that so the line looks nice right there. And then I can just imagine like a little bud here and an even tinier bud right there. Okay, so now I'm trying to think, okay, what else can I do to kind of give this some pizzazz? I'm thinking another leaf right in here. So this is coming this way. I don't want it to be too big of a leaf. Just kind of go like that. All right, and then we probably want to have a leaf right in here because it'll be right over here. So something like that. And then we're going to have our little bud here. So maybe we want to have like a little leaf right in here and another one kind of like that. And the same is true for this. We might want to have a little leaf system like that. Awesome. Okay, and then let's see, what else do we want to do to kind of doll this up? This might be just right. Let's go ahead and test this and see what this looks like. So we're going to go ahead and make a duplicate of this layer. Okay, and then we're going to come up to our Move and Transform tool, and this first duplicate we're going to move all the way over here, and we're going to put it right on the half mark. Now we've got snapping, so we want to see golden lines. So this one's got some golden lines on the side, which is perfect. And there's the golden line in the center. So I'm just going to drop it just like that. All right, and then now let's duplicate that layer 2 bottom one again, and we're going to use our transform tool and bring this one up and put it at the half mark here. Okay, and I'm looking for, oh, there we go. Whoa, right there, golden lines both on the side and in the center. That's good. Okay, now just to make sure we don't have any gaps, because we'll want to do this again if we have, I'm going to take off the drawing guide for a second, and it looks good. There's no gap here. And we're assuming that there won't be a gap here, but we'll find out when we test our pattern. So let's go ahead and test this very quickly. We're going to go ahead and select that top layer. And actually, let's take off, turn off the visibility of our check pattern and also our background here for the time being. And let's go ahead and tap our wrench and add, copy canvas, and paste. And now that's put a nice consolidated layer on top here. So now we can turn our background back on. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap that top layer 2 there, and then gently slide and drop the other 2 layer 2s below it so that I can select them all. And then we're just going to go ahead and create a group. And then we can press that group, and then we're going to turn off the visibility. And we'll just be playing with this one now, this consolidated version here. Okay, and then now that we've got this top one, let's go ahead and select that. And then go over to our 3 dots here. Select split view, and we're going to go ahead and select the web, and we're going to come over to digiartswithliz.com and the tools and the pattern checker, and we're going to just drag and drop this into the pattern checker, and it looks pretty good. But let's just double check and make sure we don't have any lines anywhere, that it's truly seamless, that we don't have any gaps that we didn't expect, and everything's looking really good there. Okay, so now let's think about if we like how this looks. And so we're going to be putting a big bloom right in there, and so I think that's going to look great. And then we're going to have little flowers right in here and here. And that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like we're probably going to be able to fill the gaps nicely. So let's go ahead and move on to the next step then, which is actually adding our bloom. So we're going to push that off to the side, add a new layer on top here. And now let's go to our Flower Power freebie brush set downloaded from the site. Okay. We're going to go ahead and select the Roses brush, And then we're going to use this nice sort of pink carnation color right there. And let's see, what size do I want? Probably somewhere around 70. Yeah, probably 70. We'll check it out and see what we think. And I'm going to turn the check pattern back on. And actually, I might even turn my canvas guide back on too, just so I can see the drawing guide back on, so I can position things. Okay, so let's start out with the big flower first. And I'll leave a link to the video that talks about drawing, or that it shares drawing flowers, in case you'd like to see that. But we're just going to go ahead and draw a rose just by creating a couple bud lines here, and then a soft little petal around, and another soft little petal around, and then we're going to sort of scoop up like this, and then scoop over across like this, and then kind of down like that. So it looks like the rose is being wrapped by the petals. And then we'll soften this up a little bit. And I'm just trying to decide if I want to have even more, like a bigger flower. I think that's looking pretty good. Oh, wow. Yeah. All right. I kind of like the shape of this. I'm not sure I want to mess with it too much more. But I might want to make it a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to select our Move and Transform tool with Uniform selected. And let's just grow this in size a little bit and kind of move it over just a bit. Oh, I do like it big. So I'm just remembering though, it's going to be here, and there's going to be this other flower right in here. But I think it's going to be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and leave it about that size. You know, it's up to you. This is all subjective, whatever you'd like your pattern to look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a duplicate of this rose here, and then use my Move and Transform tool and bring it down here. Just like that. And that looks like it's maybe just a little bit over. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going really for the impression of things and not the perfection of things, really. Although we don't want any gaps or seams. So I guess that's a little bit perfectionist. All right, so that looks pretty good. And I think that having the little bud right here, and then the little one right there is going to be great. Now, I'm just wondering if this is going to be enough happening right in here. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We might want to add some more to our stems later on, but let's just go ahead and try this. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another layer here, and we're going to create our buds. But I'll tell you what, it's a little bit difficult for me to do them upside down, so I'm just going to turn my canvas upside down. And then let's start with this one here. I'm thinking something like that, kind of the same thing here, and then I can put like little petals like that. Oh, that's cute. I like it. All right, I kind of like that. All right, so yeah, that's neat. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and do, I think I'm just going to do a little buddy bud here, so I'm going to make it so it kind of go around like that, and then something like that. Oh, that's pretty cute too. Let's see, do I want it to come maybe a little bit more pointy? Yeah, that looks good. Oh wow, that's cool. Awesome. Okay, I like the way that looks. Okay, so let's come back around here and see if I like it that way. Ooh, I really do. I really do. And I like how there's a grouping of 3. It does feel like there's a bit of space, and yet there's some nice things happening here. So I did make a mistake, but it's okay. I actually put them both on the same layer, but that's okay because they're going to both be in the same square, so we're good here. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate here. We can always change it later if we need to put it on a separate layer there. Okay, so I'm just looking for that line there on the side. I think that's right on the line there. That looks pretty good. It looks like we've got it in the same position, so we're good to go. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and test this pattern and see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and turn off our check there, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer on top there of everything, so composite of everything. So go back to Add, Copy Canvas, and Paste. All right, and then we're going to go back to the little 3 dots, and Split View, and our website, and we can go ahead and tap Clear. And then we're going to go ahead and grab that top layer and just drag and drop here and see what, oh, that's so cute. Okay, here, let's move this over a little bit. Oh, that's so adorable. Okay, so once you get this pattern tile right where you want it, it's time to make some texture brushes so that you can make patterns that are scaled for print on demand and also digital products. This tutorial shows you how. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope your day is amazing.